What if someone has never come across the concept of fasting before, which I think is probably quite implausible now, but can you give me the the evolutionary basis for fasting? Why does it help? And where were we told a lie? Like, where did we take a wrong turn in the last 1,000 years, which made us, I don't know, just become really gluttonous and have 5 meals a day and
Yeah.
so on?
Well, let's start with what fasting is, and then I'll dive into the lie. I have a lot of thoughts on the lie. If we go back to hunter-gatherer days, one thing that blows me away is that the human body we're living in is literally the same. It's the same as the hunter-gatherers, but what we're sitting in, what we're exposed to, the physical, emotional, chemical stressors that are handed to us every single day is completely opposite what the hunter and gatherers were doing. So if I go back to the hunter and gatherers, they came out of the cave. They didn't have DoorDash. They didn't have a refrigerator. They didn't know how to get food. They had to go find food. Now, if blood sugar is going down and they've got to go find food and they pass out, 100 yards from the cave, then we wouldn't be sitting here right now. But that didn't happen. What happened is they went out to go hunt, and the longer they were away trying to find food, the more they metabolically switched into this other fuel source called the ketogenic energy system. I like to call it the fat-burning system, because what their body did, we were like a hybrid car. The body was like, okay, blood sugar's going down. Okay, time to switch over to our other fuel source. We're going to pop in and start burning fat and make a ketone. And then that ketone went up into their brain, sharpened their focus, and made them even stronger to go find food.
Mhm.
Today, we don't do that. We don't ever lean into this other system that our hunter and gatherer ancestors had to lean into. There's so much oversaturation of food and ideas and stimulation coming at us that we never had. There are like biological processes in our bodies that we're not even accessing anymore, but they exist. I think you and I talked about this last time. In the book, I talk about something called the thrifty gene hypothesis. Now, it's a hypothesis. And the idea was the humans that came out of that hunter-gatherer time had a gene that allowed them to switch over into the fat-burning system and make a ketone in the absence of food. And so all of the people that survived that time period, they morphed into what we're looking at as each other right now, because the ones that didn't have that genetic profile didn't live. So they're no longer with us. So now we're sitting with this thrifty gene inside of us, eating all day. And what they believe is happening is that because we're not accessing that gene, that the people that are suffering now is on the opposite, are the ones that are not tapping in to the fat-burning system. The ones that are not accessing that are actually killing themselves because they're not in alignment with their own biology.
Kind of have a lot of empathy for them in some respects because of, it's difficult, isn't it, when we're surrounded by this much free, cheap glucose, sugar, carbohydrates
Dopamine.
to fight back against the environment you live in.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we're asking people to do. It's like fight their natural urges. Presumably the brain also has a gene which says, listen, if you see sugar,
Yeah.
you better grab it and put it in your mouth.
Yep. And there's some microbes doing that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. There can be fungus in your gut that tells your taste buds, hey, I need more sugar because they got to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
Our taste buds have been completely hijacked by all the chemicals poured onto our food. So we get so much dopamine now from food that sometimes all we have to do is walk into a grocery store and look at our favorite food and see it in the aisle. We haven't even picked it up, put it in the basket. We're like, ooh, that potato chip. I love that potato chip. And that's creating a dopamine response in our brain because our brain knows when I eat that, I get dopamine.